A large portion of the Jewish nation has returned to its homeland, but the heart, soul, and mind of much of the Jewish nation are still in exile mode. This state of affairs must and will inevitably change. This is Torah Nation TV from Jerusalem, and we are speaking with the head of Machon Shiloh, Rabbi David Bar-Hayim. Shalom, Rabbi Bar-Hayim.
Shalom.
There is much talk in Israel of anti-religious policies in the IDF, and the religious community is split on the issue. Does the rabbi have any comments?
Unfortunately, this is not a new phenomenon. It was not recognized, I think, for many years by many in the religious world, but it is definitely a fact. It has been going on for many years, probably at least a decade. But it's true also that over the last few years it has picked up steam and become much more noticeable, to the extent that it is now a major talking point in the religious and also in the non-religious world here in Israel and abroad. We have heard here in Israel of late in the media of a case where an officer in the Tel Nof Air Force Base in Israel issued an order to all soldiers and officers on the base that they are all required to shave their beards, whoever they may be, religious or not religious. But of course it is plain that the number of religious soldiers and officers with beards outnumbers probably 1,000 to 1, if not more than that, those who have beards and who are not religious. We hear of 3 soldiers in the Air Force who refused such an order and were punished for so doing. We hear of many cases of discrimination between religious and non-religious forms of donation to the IDF. For example, the Army recently issued particular regulations regarding the donation of different types of artifacts or objects to the Army, and they made a clear distinction between those who donate different types of equipment or objects to the Army and those who donate a Sefer Torah to the Army. And the list goes on. But really, this is all just the tip of the iceberg, and it's not really the issue, the crux of the issue. The crux of the issue is an attempt on the part of hardcore secularist left-wing organizations and causes to infiltrate the Israeli army in order to turn it into an army that cannot and will not fight the enemy, to permeate the army with ideas, notions, concepts that are foreign to Judaism and taken directly from the lexicon of postmodernist Western liberalism. The aim of these groups and organizations, and it must be said, unfortunately, certain forces within the IDF itself, the aim of these people is to present a secular army which is in no way connected to the Jewish religion, in no way even respectful towards halakha, and to project the image of the secularist, left-wing, humanist Israel that these people believe in, as opposed to the army that has been developing on the ground for the last 3 decades, in which the fact is that in the army today we have a very high proportion, a very noticeable, significant percentage of soldiers and officers, particularly in combat units, of a religious persuasion. And this fact has, for many, many years, been a great thorn in the side of these people, and that is what they are trying to fight and to undo. The most outrageous example of which we have heard in the media of late is the following, that this last year, when the Yom HaShoah, the day when Israel commemorates and memorializes the 6 million killed during the Holocaust, on that day there are official ceremonies which involve honor guards of soldiers that appear at a number of these different ceremonies, and an order was given in the army that no soldier sporting a beard could be part of such an honor guard. This is the first time in the history of the State of Israel that such an order was given, and this is a clear indication of a very unfortunate and even evil wind blowing through the corridors of the IDF. So as we explained, the background to all of this is in fact a cultural war, a psychological, philosophical and cultural war between two camps: those who wish the State of Israel to be a state with a Jewish nation, with a Jewish flavor and a Jewish national ethos about it, and those who wish Israel to be just one more postmodernist, confused Western nation without any reason or clear direction for its existence and without any Jewish content whatever. The way this kind of policy has been undertaken for many years is, for example, the following. Very often on weekends, the army takes a unit of soldiers, shall we say, for what they call cultural and spiritual enrichment. They may take them to Jerusalem, for example, put them up in some hostel, and they would take them to the Kotel and maybe to some other Jewish sites, and they would also perhaps hear a talk or two during the course of the Shabbat, and then go back to their bases and continue with their military service. These leftist, secularist, anti-Israel organizations have done the following over many years. They have turned to the army and offered them a better deal. They've said, we will provide at our expense, or very heavily subsidized, we will provide accommodation of a higher standard, more luxurious hostels or hotel rooms. We will provide speakers at no charge, and you obviously can guess for yourselves the kind of ideas and philosophies and attitudes that these speakers do their best to convey to these soldiers. The kind of attitude that basically says that Israel is in the wrong, the so-called Palestinians are in the right, and we have no right to be doing almost anything that we do in order to survive and maintain our existence in the land of Israel. And this, of course, weakens the army and weakens the very fabric of Israeli society. More importantly, perhaps, even than all of the above, is the fact that within the religious community there is a split between those who are willing to speak openly about this phenomenon, about these realities, and those who would wish to hush everything up and sweep it under the rug. The beginning of this split was obvious some months ago when Rav Yigal Levinstein spoke openly about these trends and these realities in the army, and he is someone who knows exactly what has been going on in the army for decades, and he spoke about a process that has been going on for at least 10 years. And he was roundly, from some circles of course, he was roundly criticized for speaking openly and objectively about the reality. Whereas, of course, others know the facts and agree with Rav Levinstein. The fact is that there is a built-in bug in religious Zionism, and that is a kind of dual loyalty, on the one hand to the Torah and to Hashem, and on the other hand to the state and its organs. And this has always been the Achilles heel of religious Zionism, and this is just one more example. Those people who would rather not have these issues debated and aired openly, those who would rather not that the religious community know about what is going on in the army and speak about it and complain and protest, these are the people whose allegiance is more firmly connected to the word Zionism than to the word religious, in that strange combination of words, religious Zionism. And those who feel otherwise, their allegiance is more closely connected to the word religious as opposed to the word Zionism. At least that is how some people would wish to present it. The fact of the matter is that religious Zionist Jews need to cease defining themselves in terms of being religious Zionists. They need to define themselves in terms of simply who they really are, and that is Jews living in Eretz Yisrael according to the Torah. Our allegiance, of course, is first and foremost to Hashem and to the Torah, and this is a plain halachic issue formulated explicitly by the Rambam in Ilchot Malachim, where he says that if a king or national leader instructs the people to do anything which involves any kind of transgression of the Torah, his order is to be ignored. This is a general rule of thumb and can be and should be applied to all such situations. Religious Jews therefore need to be very open and forthright and even in your face, as they say, regarding this issue. Not to try and hush things up and not to agree to be less visible by shaving their beards or anything of the sort. We have to insist upon the right to be who we are and do what we do without any flinching and without any hesitation. And if we stick to our guns, then we shall, B'ezrat Hashem, be victorious, because our view and our vision, our faith and our tradition is infinitely stronger than all the lightweight, fleeting concepts that those who oppose us present to the world. And therefore all we need is determination and strength.
Thank you, Rabbi Bar-Hayim. We would like to encourage our viewers to share these videos with friends and send in your responses. We would also like to suggest the following opportunity to our viewers. If you identify with Rabbi Bar-Hayim's message and would like to sponsor or dedicate a video interview with the rabbi in honor or memory of a loved one, if you would like to obtain Birkon Nusach Eretz Yisrael or invite the rabbi for a speaking engagement, please email us at office@machonshilo.org.